The Egghead Show.
Alright, so today we are going to be responding to a person who is infamous on YouTube. Infamous, so infamous. Today, we're going to be responding to Onision, also known as Onion Cuck Boy.
For some time now, people have been demanding that I respond to this girl. She has an itty-bitty channel, so I didn't really want to pay her any attention, as giving her attention, of course, only benefits her.
Oh, so I see what you're doing is, so what you're saying is, since she had a small YouTube channel, which has now grown since then, her points are invalid.
But after enough harassment from you people, I've decided to finally respond to her video. Her title is Onision Rages About Feminism and Looks Stupid. Before I get started actually responding to your video, I want to congratulate you on the fact that you're not forced to wear a burqa, thanks to, of course, feminists.
Feminists aren't the reason why women don't wear burqas in America. The reason why women don't wear burqas in America is because we live in a secular society. There is separation of church and state. Not one religion is the ruling religion. Also, side note, Greg, I think feminists actually want people to wear burqas in the Middle East.
Now prepare yourselves for statements from a woman clearly benefiting from many feminists who came before, shitting all over them, because after all their hard work, she has the privilege to live in a society that is nowhere near as harsh to her as it was to many women who came before her.
Hey Onision, so I heard you like being cucked.
That's how you're gonna start this video, with something you heard? What I actually enjoy is having sex with two amazing women, and I do so with zero remorse. Maybe do more research in the future, so you don't appear so ignorant.
Greg, you said that you like to watch your wife being fucked by someone else. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, audience, but I believe that is a cuck.
So, in case you don't know who Onision is, he's basically what happens when you combine a Pokemon hentai fetish, a spare chromosome, and 20-something years of sexual repression.
So she just threw all Down syndrome people under the bus in order to take a jab at me. As for the alleged 20 years of sexual oppression, I lost my virginity at age 14, and I've had sex literally thousands of times since then. But you get a gold star for trying.
Apparently, you've never heard of a joke. She was joking, you twit.
Feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of political, social, and economic equality to men.
Congratulations, you read a dictionary definition. I can do that too.
Did you just use Urban Dictionary in response to me using an actual definition? Do you actually consider Urban Dictionary a credible source? Because if so, this is going to be a rough ride for you. The definitions I use are part of the foundation of the English language. Literally anyone can go to Urban Dictionary and define whatever they feel like, however they want. And how about I prove my point right now, to really get you to understand how foolish you're being? Oh wow, looks like Blaire White isn't defined yet. Since you seem to think Urban Dictionary is such a credible source, let's define Blaire White. As black and white wildcats, you tend to see roaming city streets covered in their own vomit and urine. Make sure you tweet at Onision when you posted this definition to Urban Dictionary, so we can all celebrate these wonderful Blaire Whites and their majestic feline ways.
Actually, Onision, Urban Dictionary is used by many people to describe definitions that are not in the dictionary. And I think the new version of cuck is what's describing you best.
It's because people say stupid shit like egalitarianism is better than feminism, even though it's basically the same thing. They both call for equal rights.
Actually, it's not the same thing, and the very definition that you cited in order to decimate everyone shows that. Feminism operates in the sphere of women's rights. It's right there in the definition. Egalitarians are concerned with the rights of everyone regardless of skin color or gender. It's a very important distinction to me, and it's one that you could have easily made if your IQ was anywhere above -6.
Wow, that would be a really good point you made if I didn't literally say basically the same thing, even though it's basically the same thing. Even though it's basically the same thing.
Actually, it's not the same thing.
Instead of literally the same thing. You then go on to say,
it's a very important distinction to me, and it's one that you could have easily made if your IQ was anywhere above -6.
Meanwhile, again, you seem to want to be perceived as a credible person, and yet you stated I have an IQ that doesn't exist. If you only took the time to Google it, you of course would have known that.
The fact that you're attacking a trans woman, being such a fighter of the LGBT community, just shows how low your IQ is.
Over 1,000 people voted. 69% of feminists believe that women are equal to men.
Whoa, look at Onision dropping truth bombs with a Twitter poll. Much science, very truth.
Since that time I made the video, the poll got over 12,000 votes. Regardless of how valid or invalid you think a Twitter poll is, you're still looking at 12,000 people who stated what their beliefs are. 11% of the people who voted, identifying themselves as feminists, said that women are superior, and 15% voted inferior. 11% and 15% almost cancels itself out. We like to invalidate things on Twitter when they don't agree with us, but you and I both know well, just because something's on Twitter doesn't mean it's invalid.
By that logic itself, the hashtag #KillAllMen is perfectly valid. Oh, and side note, I too ran a Twitter poll, Greg, and apparently you are worse than the vigilant Christian.
This is one of many examples of important statements made on Twitter that is not degraded by the fact that it's on the site. You disregard that poll because it's simply not convenient to you. People utilize the same tactic on a regular basis. Polls don't agree with them, they immediately try to invalidate them. And you ignoring 12,000 people, that takes a special kind of stubbornness.
And you know, Onision, it's really interesting you're making this argument. I mean, do you remember when you said this?
Personally, I've always felt that women are superior to men.
That lack of self-awareness, man.
Just one request, work on your editing skills.
Personally, I've always felt that women are superior to men.
That lack of self-awareness, man.
You keep cutting off statements. And it's super annoying because it makes it look like I'm the one who doesn't know how to properly edit videos when I'm responding to your video.
What the fuck?
The same guy who uses jump cuts every 5 seconds is judging on how a person edits. What?
As for you pointing out that I think women are superior to men, I think most women are superior to men. But as I established in previous videos, a belief that a gender is superior does not equate to hypocrisy when a person is fighting for equal rights. Just because I think ice cream is better than cake doesn't mean I'm going to try and stop people from eating cake. In fact, if they're both consumed equally, that's fine with me. I just personally like the ice cream more.
Coming from the guy that said this.
Another self-righteous vegetarian trying to push his lifestyle on all of us. I don't give a f*** if you think animals are cute. I will continue to eat them. Thank you, humanitarian. You showed me how much better than me you are by saying that you don't care about other living creatures. Good job. I'm sure that for your statement 1, 2, 3, 0 people will thank you. And as far as self-righteous goes, hell yeah, I'm self-righteous. I don't murder anything.
So the point you were trying to make was actually completely pointless. And as you obviously don't know, I identify as a feminazi. You should really watch my previous videos before speaking of me further, because you clearly don't know what you're talking about. You prioritize your closed-minded personal experiences over the fucking truth.
Yeah, and you are prioritizing your allegiance to a dictionary over the truth. The word feminism was created in the 1890s. 1890s! To pretend as if the movement hasn't changed since then at all, or to stick your bobblehead so far in the dirt that you don't see that the actions of third-wave feminists have greatly turned off a lot of people from the movement, is stupid.
She's clearly stating that the definition of feminism is not accurate to what feminism represents today. And she's only able to do this because she immediately wrote off this poll that thousands of feminists voted on, clearly pointing out that the majority of feminists believe in equality. That's how people continue living their lie. They're faced with facts, they immediately state it's invalid, and they continue their narrow-minded mindset that's focused on a negative rather than a positive.
Your poll doesn't mean shit. The actions of third-wave feminism are completely different than first-wave feminists. Please tell me, what rights do women not have that men do have? And if you even say, oh, but the wage gap, well then please enjoy this.
The wage gap is simply the average earnings of men and women working full-time. It does not count for different job positions, hours worked, or different jobs. It has nothing to do with the same job. It has nothing to do with discrimination.
Here's a couple feminists at a rally. They look peaceful, they look happy, they no doubt believe in equality. But this is super boring, right? There's no violence, there's no screaming, there's no chaos. So of course we'll never hear about it in the news because we are a society that loves to focus on the negative. If you guys have any experience with watching the news, you will very likely 100% agree with me. So what do? We turn feminism into something like this. This awkward, weird situation becomes one of the only things we want to focus on when we think of feminism anymore. Here's a normal, peaceful rally. Someone holding up a sign, "Stop killing women," which guess what? Many women are killed for doing things that men can do without being punished.
Women are killed in third world countries. You know, like where they are second-class citizens. Here in America, it's complete different.
One example is this man beating a woman for allegedly removing her burqa. Meanwhile, that man's free to walk around without a burqa. And obviously that is one of many reasons why feminism was and continues to be important in the world in general. But back to my point, the majority of feminists believe in equality and wish to fight for women to have equal rights. I proved that in a poll that you conveniently ignore. Meanwhile, you have no poll of your own proving feminists believe any different. So I think for now, we'll go ahead and go with the only person who actually has evidence.
Oh my god. That is the third time you reference your goddamn poll. Your poll doesn't mean shit, Greg.
Feminism is not synonymous with women's rights.
Oh my god, did you really just say that? It's in the definition. The definition is the same in the Cambridge Dictionary. It says basically the same thing in the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and Dictionary.com also agrees. If you went to a college and you didn't respect definitions, you would flunk out.
Being against feminism does not mean that you are against women's rights. It means that you're in opposition to the ideological framework in which feminism operates under.
In 1848, a bunch of people gathered for the sake of women being treated equally, for women have voting rights, etc. Now I know you and your ignorance want to believe that feminism hasn't accomplished much since then. It's super convenient for you to have your position, as hating feminism is a pretty popular thing right now, due to a lot of people online having an incredibly uneducated perspective on feminism, and somehow the inability to focus on anything but negative when it comes to feminism. Thanks to feminism in 2016, women were finally allowed to have any job in the military. Thanks to feminism, these events also occurred, one of the most important being the rights women have when they're victims of violence, including victims of trafficking.
You gotta love those laws created by lawmakers and not feminists.
Even still today, women are struggling with having rights to their own body, as for some crazy reason, some people seem to believe that even when a woman is raped, she is not allowed to abort the baby she was impregnated with by the rapist, because of course they no doubt have a religious agenda and care more about their made-up fairies than the victims right in front of them. Thanks to feminism, you can't discriminate against people based on sex. Yeah, this is why feminism is great. In fact, if you're a woman and you're sexually discriminated on, you can actually sue people, and that too is fucking awesome. Again, rape is a huge problem even in our first world country, and thanks to feminists, rape victims have more rights against the people who sexually violated them.
Oh, shut the fuck up. You have no right to talk about rape when you said this.
That being, if you have sex with somebody after they got drunk, or they have sex with you when you got drunk, did you get raped or did you rape them? The answer is no, in my opinion, in the sense that it's not as bad as actual rape where you force someone to have sex with you against your will.
Now, I'm only 2 minutes into your video, but I am going to go ahead and stop because I'd like to spend time with my family at some point today. But I think I've more than thoroughly established how uneducated you are, and also how obviously ungrateful you are. You, the person who's clearly battling against feminism, could very well be raped. And without feminism, the person who raped you would have even less of a chance of seeing any time in jail than he already does. And on top of that, if you got pregnant, in a society without feminism, you would be forced to have that baby. And additionally, without feminism, you could also potentially be forced to marry the person who raped you. It's in Deuteronomy 22:28-29. Long before feminism had a foothold. Thanks to feminism, you don't have to spend the rest of your life maritally shackled to the person who sexually violated you. But if that individual didn't want to marry you, then guess what? Without feminism, he won't be forced to pay you child support.
Coming from the asshat that said paying alimony is like slavery.
So here you are, a victim of a horrible crime, forced to bring a rapist's baby into this world, with no possible punishment given to the rapist, thanks to people like you using ignorance to fight against people who would fight for you. The majority of people do not commit crimes. The majority of people are not extremists. The majority of people live peaceful lives. Most of us know all this to be true because we've gone out in public and seen how consistently orderly things tend to be in the majority of this country, which happens to be primarily low crime areas. So considering how non-extreme most people are, wouldn't you think that most people who fight for women's rights are also non-extreme? They simply want equality between the genders. That does not make them an extremist. That does not make them something negative. It makes them decent. So in the future, instead of fighting against people who are fighting for you, you simply saying thank you would suffice.
So, Onision, and to the people who are watching, I have a challenge for you. Please tell me, what rights does a woman not have that men do have? And if you say the wage gap bullshit, I will respond with this.
The wage gap is simply the average earnings of men and women working full-time. It does not count for different job positions, hours worked, or different jobs. It has nothing to do with the same job. It has nothing to do with discrimination.
Thank you for watching. Get fucked, Onision.